So this is a Sandpiper bag. You may have seen some around the conference. Um, I've got a couple up at the front if you want to come and have a look later. It's actually two bags, and they're designed in a functional way to allow you to respond under cognitive load. So essentially the smaller bag is for circulation, the larger bag is for airway and breathing. And they open as a clamshell, so they open up to display the contents, which are color-coded. The beautiful thing is these color-coded pouches are Velcro attached, and they can be passed off to members of the team. Now, I've had a lot of experience using pre-hospital bags over the years, and there are many on the market. I imagine a fair number of you in the audience have got some kit in your car or in your surgery. My experience has been, and my impression is that the Sandpiper bag is very much fit for purpose for the rural clinician. It's been tried and tested in Scotland for almost 20 years. I've been using them in my rural location for over a year now, and I've actually thrown out my old retrieval packs in favour of these. So if you want to learn a little bit more, have a look at the QR code. There's a talk through of the bag, and again there are some supplemental resources. So now's a great time to take another screenshot of that QR code. Okay, the sad thing is it costs money. So how have the Sandpiper Trust managed this in the UK? Well, the communities have been going out and raising funds. They've been doing charity bike rides, doing challenges to raise funds. They've had the Sandpiper Trust dinner, raised over £80,000 in one night. And they've got champions, including renowned Scottish individual.
Sweet dreams are made of these. Who am I to disagree?
Sweet dreams indeed. And again, the Queen, the royal family are behind this. So that's having royal backing is absolutely fantastic. So that's Sandpiper the UK. We looked at that and we thought, gee, that's a bloody good model. We've been liaising with Sandpiper UK, and I'm pleased to say they've given us permission to form Sandpiper Australia. It's taken us a year to get to this stage, and the ink is still wet on the paperwork establishing us as a limited entity, not-for-profit organisation, essentially a charity. And there are three things that we want to do, and I'll talk you through those. The first is we want to equip rural clinicians with Sandpiper bags. The unit cost is around $300, and we think we can achieve that money quite easily. But we also need to train rural clinicians in immediate care. Now, before this conference, we ran a one-day workshop attended by 20 clinicians, and we involved them in immersive simulation with task training. And we really wanted them to demonstrate that they had the appropriate skills to translate from their hospital, where they work in emergency or theatre setting, to the pre-hospital environment. And I think we were able to achieve that. We got them really thinking about scene management, performance under pressure, and making things happen. And probably the final thing we need to do is fundraising and rural advocacy. Advocacy for improved trauma care for rural patients. We are limited in some areas by treatment ceilings for the ambulance service, whether they're ambulance officer volunteers or paramedics. Not every rural area will have a critical care paramedic. And we also have to acknowledge that, yes, we have expert pre-hospital services, but they take time to arrive. And if we have rural generalists in the community with skills pertaining to emergency medicine, it's almost inexcusable not to be using them. This is our new president for the Rural Doctors Association. And I don't want you to buy this man a beer. He's going sober for a year. 1 year, no beer. And he's trying to raise $10,000. Now, I think we've kicked over the $3,500 mark in the past 24 hours, even since I made this slide. So John's going to try and raise 10 grand. Every time I go away and teach, I usually get paid. I'm donating that money to Sandpiper. We hope that you guys, if you want a Sandpiper bag, will go away and galvanise your community to raise funds. Heck, it's only about $300 to buy the bags. but then to get trained up so that you can be the proud recipient of a Sandpiper bag. So here's my kit. On Kangaroo Island on the left hand side, you'll see the Sandpiper bag on the right, and it's supplemented by a RSI bag as well, because I'm a GP anaesthetist and I'm confident in the pre-hospital setting that if I have to do a pre-hospital RSI, if my hand is forced, then I will do. Here's one of my colleagues. She's holding a Sandpiper bag, and my golly, it looks good with that Land Rover, doesn't it? So if you're going to have some kit, have good kit, have standardized kit, have kit that is tried and tested on the experience of over 1,000 of your colleagues in Scotland, and the recommendation of us here in Australia who are involved in this work and think that we have a good solution for rural Australia. I mentioned we ran a pre-hospital course before the conference. That's sold out. We're doing another one in December. We're doing a bunch more in 2020. And this is under the aegis of ACRRRM, our parent college. And they see the role of the rural generalist as a pre-hospital responder as core. We're going to teach you about scene safety. We're going to teach you about performance under pressure. We'll teach you about working with other agencies. And we'll help you translate your in-hospital skills to the roadside. A limited suite of meaningful interventions that make a difference on scene. We're hoping in time we'll establish a rural responder network. And not only do we need to train face-to-face through courses, but we also need to supplement that with additional material. So here's another QR code, and this will take you to a link of educational resources distilled from some of the world's experts in pre-hospital care and presented to you for easy digest. So this talks through a whole variety of different things that may be useful for those of you considering this sort of work. Now, I mentioned there is a position statement from ACRRRM and the RDAA, and the way I see it is that if we establish this network bottom up, it presents a ready-made cadre of rural generalists for use in local or state disaster, which might be earthquake, like the Christchurch catastrophe, it might be flooding or inundation after cyclones, it could be tsunami, bushfire, the Kerrang train crash, whatever. And I'm hoping that in time, the retrieval services, rather than exclude us, will begin to ask for the Sandpiper clinician to attend. That rather than rocking up in board shorts and thongs with no equipment, no training, we will actually be able to present a trained clinician with standardized kit who can value add on scene. So I think the rural generalist, Sandpiper bag and training combination can really make a difference to rural Australians. There are a limited suite of meaningful interventions we can provide on scene, and I've alluded to those already. Finger thoracostomy, surgical airway, advanced airway, fentanyl for pain relief, ketamine for dissociation so that we can extricate safely or perform fracture dislocation reductions. IO access, intravenous access, control of hemorrhage, splinting, extrication, making things happen on scene. But again, we're there to value add, not replace. And that's really important. There has been some pushback from ambulance services who say, hang on, we're the experts in pre-hospital care. Exactly right, you are, but you have to acknowledge that with increasing rurality, you don't have critical care practitioners available. The responders are often ambulance officer based, who do a great job, but they have treatment ceilings and they have to operate to protocols. There is a danger in the rural doctor lobbing up on the scene, untrained, ill-equipped, and frankly, making a tit of themselves. So if we're going to respond, you need to be trained, you need to be equipped. I would encourage you to talk to your local ambulance service, and at a macro level, we need to advocate for our role to be recognised by state-based retrieval and ambulance services. Now, if you want to learn more, go along to the website sandpiperaustralia.org, follow us on the Twitter, look at our Facebook page, have a look inside the Dropbox. At this stage, we've just established the charity as an entity. We haven't got our bank account established quite yet. We're days away from that, so we're nearly ready. At the moment, most of the fundraising is happening in the background, or through John Hall's 1 year no beer. So that's at 23 minutes. I'm going to stop there, and that allows us 5 minutes for questions. Thank you very much for your time.